Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to A.A. Garthwaite Stadium here in beautiful downtown Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. With me in the booth today is Alexander Schragus.
Yeah.
I should check that before the broadcast, Steve. Anyway, we are in the midst of some very inclement weather. No lightning.
No, but it's very cold out there, and the field is already a little chewed up. I was running out there before. The players have already made some divots just in warm-ups, so it's going to be tough for them to get their footing.
And that's something that we hope doesn't get worse, if only because the owners of the venue are not big fans of torn turf. You can see there's a great center patch that's been replaced. This has traditionally been a really beautiful field, though it is shared with at least a rugby team and some of the larger football games, high school interscholastic games that happen in this area because of the great condition of the field. We are with you today, Saturday, April 15th, hosting the Toronto Rush, the Beast of the East. I think it's still safe to say that.
Yeah, definitely.
They beat New York last night by 3 or 4 goals, also in blustery weather, but much, much warmer than today.
Yeah.
Quite literally twice the temperature. I think we're in the mid to low 40s here this afternoon. Both of our flags are straight out, blowing left to right on this field and a little bit from behind us on the left. So the downwind offenses will be starting on the left side of the field as our cameras look at it and going to the right. And we can expect many more turnovers going right to left in this upwind breeze. And our clockmeister, Steve Leinert, making the observation that many discs are already hitting the ground in warm-ups. It's going to be a test even for the Toronto Rush, who have a reputation as one of the smoothest offenses in the league. Great handlers, great cutters, very consistent with the disc, but I think it's safe to say Mother Nature is the 8th man on the field today.
Yeah. Something else to watch for with Toronto, they have a lot of really young players today that are just getting into the game, and even if these are people that have been playing Ultimate for a long time, it's tough for them to adjust to the wind on this stage especially.
I think you're right. We have at least 2 rookies who are playing their first games. Their first AUDL games today. Who are those, Alex?
Yeah, we have Dan LaFrance. We have Drew Wilson. We have Philip Turner. And then we also have Ben Priest.
So 4
players
4 on the Rush. That's a fairly high number. I'm guessing we might have a couple on the Phoenix who are playing their first AUDL games, but none of them, I think, are as young as some of these guys.
No.
Though we hear very good things about many of them from the Zatzman, the media guy for Toronto Rush, who has been gracious enough to spend some pregame time with me and Alex today. And despite their youth, apparently Toronto's looking for big things in the future from these guys.
Yeah, I think so. They have a healthy mix of veterans, people that have been playing in the Toronto scene for a decade, and all these kids that are just very athletic, very eager to get out there, and it never hurts to have fresh legs.
No, of course not. And speaking of veterans who have been playing in the area for 10 years, the great Mark Lloyd is back on the Rush this year after spending a season out in Colorado playing with Bravo. And we have a couple folks who were scratched. Nathan Hurst apparently has an injured wrist and is a late scratch. And Mike McKenzie, the younger brother of Ian, is also not playing in this game for Toronto. Philadelphia, on the other hand, after a resurgent year last year and a couple of first-time wins over some of their Eastern rivals, have changed head coaches and had a rather large turnover in players.
Yeah, a lot of new players for the Phoenix. But they come from – a lot of them have played club together, and a lot of them played in high school together too, which will be interesting to see if they can take that.
Right, whether it translates out here. Yeah. It's interesting. Steve and I had commented last season, and the observation had been made often, that Pennsbury was a large contributor to this team, and a bunch of those guys are no longer here. But Sean Mott, who is certainly one of the most talented and one of the big goal scorers for the Phoenix, and another Mercer guy that was, well acquainted with that crew, Scotty Zhu, is still here. Another terrific handler. Gone are Will Honey, Paul Klimkowski, Casey Startzel, Dustin, and who are the others? Quinn Hunziker, a big loss for them just on his handling skills and his raw athleticism. And, of course, Dustin Sullivan, was the other player I was thinking of. And probably the biggest loss from a receiving point of view, you have to say, would be Marcus Brownlee, both for his length and his speed. Also just a great team guy and a great player. He, along with Eileen Murray, our terrific coach from last year, have both gone to the Empire, which is much closer to their homes, obviously, both being New York or North Jersey residents. So that was kind of a natural move for the two of them, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Not really. They were coming a long way to be down here, and it sure was a great year having them here last year. But it's going to be a very different lineup this year, and we have taking the field Matt Esser holding the disc for the Phoenix as they line up. They are pulling upwind or downwind. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No, they are pulling upwind. The flag is going away from us, as I mentioned. So right to left, they're pulling upwind. It's not going to be a real long pull given this breeze. And they are Toronto is just being spoken to by the head ref, J.B. Harrington. We have who is out there? We have Esser. It looks like Nick Patel on the far end. Esser's pull is going to hit the ground about midfield and barely get to midfield, actually. Toronto picks it up and unleashes a very fast and way too far downfield huck that actually rides that wind even further than it looked initially.
I really like that force by Philly. They were doing a hard flick force, which means that it's very hard to keep that disc in the field of play. That disc, because of the downwind, is just going to keep going, and it's going to keep getting pushed out of bounds.
Really got carried a good ways there. That looks like Himalaya. No, it's number 0, Dustin Damiano. Over to Nick Patel, and that's Eric Nardelli. Dropped the disc there. Number 91, Cameron Harris picking it up for the rush. Oh, and they score pretty immediately, 81-25. 81 with the goal, 81 with the assist, and 25 with the goal.
25 is Jay Boychuk.
And
yeah, I think 81 is.
Or was that 91? Was that Cam Harris?
That would be Cam Harris. That would make sense.
If they have an 8, no, that is. I guess that is 91. I thought I saw an 81. We might have an unaccounted number out there.
81 is Yearwood.
Yearwood. Okay. Let's make sure he's playing or not. He is, and it was 81 who threw that, definitely. I saw he is a little bulkier than Cameron Harris. So 81, Mr. Yearwood is in. We're going to add him to our roster. And now the rush will have that same upwind pull, which is to say not easy. In the offensive line, we have Ryan Brown, Trey Katzenbach. I see Scotty Zhu out there. Sean Mott is leading the team down the field. Scott Zhu picks it up. Looking for Mott in the middle, who he finds. Gets it out to the wing.
It's Mike Arcata.
Mike Arcata, our new coach. And easy throw to number 9, Himalaya Mehta, who puts it in the end zone. to, who was that who caught that? 24, I believe it was. Ethan Peck with the goal. Himalaya Mehta with the assist. And we have one each. Again, Matt Esser to pull for the Phoenix with just under 11 minutes left. People trying to figure out who they're lining up with. The pull is just out of bounds at the 30. The ref is marking the spot. And that is number 19, bringing it to the, or I'm sorry, 14? I can't see the 19, yes, bringing it to the middle.
Yeah. That's Thompson McKnight.
To 76. Whew. Very nice. Back to McKnight. Little soft floater that just barely stayed up. It is a challenge here, even downwind. Oh, and Matt Esser coming underneath. Number 20, Jeff Lindquist, to take that disc, knock it down, and then barely scoops the sideline pass. It's up into the wind. Ruled in by Dan Spicer. Oh, and another big D by Toronto. And that is number 91, catching it from Lindquist, number 20.
Cam Harris
once again. Cam Harris, who is really just one of the Mr. Everythings on Toronto. He has 300 touches a season, apparently. What are we saying? No goal? No goal. So the clock is still running. Mehta is bringing it up. I guess he was out. And a nice catch up here by 79, whose number I don't have. Hampson, of course. Okay. Who is also one of the assistant coaches. Oh, turnover to Toronto. Very quickly working it back.
It's Lindquist in the middle of the field getting a lot of the action.
And number 3 into number 25.
Andrew Carroll to Jay Boychuk. That's 2 goals to Boychuk already. Both the goals for Toronto have gone to him.
So we have 2-1 Toronto, as they say up there, sort of omitting that first O. We like to do that legit with 9:21 left in the first quarter. And we've got going out on D now, Dan LaFrance, Ben Priest, one of the young rookies they have. Let's see, it's so hard reading these numbers on the front of their jerseys. 21, Jeff Powell. And we have, again, Trey Katzenbach leading the way with Sean Mott, Scotty Zhu. Himalaya Mehta on offense. Scott Zhu will pick up the pull, working opposite Ben Priest. Double team there on Scotty Zhu. Clears back to Trey Katzenbach to a wide open Sean Mott. He's thinking about that big downfield, Huck, but thinks better of it, which is probably wise. They're not yet at midfield. Double teaming on Mott. He keeps dumping to Trey Katzenbach. Over to Himalaya Mehta. And it's coming to this sideline. Oh, and flat stolen by Powell. Number 21, a great layout catch. He just took it away and pops it up to Norden on the near sideline with Katzenbach marking him. And a double team put on there by Ethan Peck with Trey. And once again, 24, Jeremy Norden. Oh, Edwards, number 11, just drops that. You got to think the wind had something to do with that. Sean Mott is walking away, but then breaking. Scotty Zhu is faking and then doing the big backhand. Sean Mott cannot get to it. It just went too far wide left. That downfield, downwind toss is just going to be, it looks so inviting and so enticing. You think you have an ally in the wind, but it's an accelerator that's just working too much today.
I do like that he went to the backhand throw. It's a little easier to keep that in bounds and have it curve back, but it just went too far.
Oh, and look at that, an immediate turn right to Ethan Peck, who's been very active in the middle. Dumps it back to, and gets the goal. Dumps it back to Sean Mott, who pops it up to Scotty Zhu, who gets the assist back to Ethan Peck for the goal. And that's the second goal for Ethan Peck for Philadelphia. Interesting.
Yeah.
So 91, 25, 19. We've got Thompson, McKnight, Jeff Powell, Jay Boychuk, Cameron Harris.
Andrew Carroll, who is
reputed to be one of the fastest guys in the league, never mind on the Toronto Rush. There's also we have to mention a great story with Jeremy Norden from Toronto, number 24, who was a young man who played in Junior Worlds in 2008 while he was battling cancer. Came in with a bald head and played a bunch of points, and now works for Eric. The early recognition is critical. There's a nice huck. Oh, it's just out of bounds. A nice huck from number 7, except for the fact that it was, well, that's Massac Kelly. Isaiah Massac Kelly, who just let that loose, and his receiver couldn't quite get there. And now we have Dustin Damiano turning it over on a throw to Nick Patel. Hard to say who really gets that turn. It looked like a little bit of a rough throw to get to. And Toronto comes back and overthrows again in the end zone. Massac Kelly with just a little too much mustard going downwind. And Jay Boychuk cannot quite get there. Jay Boychuk needed to grow about 6 inches for that shot. All right, so we have centered to, very nice to Eric Nardelli, who puts a very nice soft shot out to the right side. Oh, and then it's turned over immediately. And this time, an easy goal for Toronto. And that was 48 Ryan Weaver, who couldn't quite get that to one of his teammates. And that was 91 catching the goal from number 3, Andrew Carroll with the assist, and Cam Harris with the goal. This is one of the big patterns and big connections on Toronto, we hear, from a very good source.
That's 2 assists already for Andrew Carroll. His speed, especially close to the disc and in that handler zone, is really giving them a lot of opportunity to reset the disc, and all that motion is making it really tough for Philly to guard them downfield. I really like how Philly is keeping them on the flick side. Toronto kept trying to jam it in there on that corner, and they couldn't do it because of the wind just pushing it away.
Right.
So if Philly can keep that up, keep getting those turns, they could definitely have some shots.
And that's it's really important that you be smart about how you use the 8th man, which is the wind out here today. If you keep forcing it to the most difficult side to play on, you're going to get good results defensively. Trey Katzenbach is the dump here for the rest of his team. Sean Mott, very lucky to take that in before a stall count. And he just lets it rip with Scotty Zhu, and it looks like Eric Nardelli back there. Scotty Zhu with the easy catch, given the traffic, and tosses it in to Ryan Brown. So Scotty Zhu with the assist to Ryan Brown. And that's the second one for Scott. And Philadelphia has tied it at 3. It's, it is, I think, better for Philadelphia to have this lousy weather and big wind.
I agree.
Especially if they're smart about the way they use it.
I also like that play. That's Huck'em Chuck'em Frisbee. Give your guys a chance at the disc. It's fun to watch, and Philly's great at that. They have a lot of people that can get really high for that Frisbee.
Yeah, that was Sean did a nice thing there in the way he threw it. He got away from that line drive. He gave it some loft. And he knew that because it didn't have a huge velocity or huge spins on it, that it would come down fairly quickly. And he seemed to have Scott Jue and Eric Nardelli in the same spot. Or if that was also Ryan Brown, who ended up getting the goal. It just worked out well for them. Another bigger upwind pull. They got to the 30 of Toronto this time. And we have Thompson McKnight popping it up the middle. And, number 3 used the same thing, Andrew Carroll, just to get over. And there you have Jeff Lindquist popping it to Thompson McKnight, number 20 to number 19. And Toronto learned something from that Phoenix goal because they used exactly the same kind of throws there. Soft, lofting throws to get over the D and drop in before they went to the next county.
Yeah, that was some very impressive throws in the middle of the field, particularly by Andrew Carroll to get it just over the Philly defender.
Yeah.
But drop it into his own player's hands.
It's almost surprising that touch can come into play on a day like this, but it might even be more important. It might even be more important. The inside, the booth guys are teasing poor Len Evans, who's outside with his camera. Nick Halliday and Pat Garrianti's being a little merciless there. Their soaking comrade. But it's the nature of the beast today, folks. Half the temperature it was yesterday and 5 times the humidity and wind velocity. Just not a friendly day. And number 89, Mark Lloyd himself with a low pull. Didn't quite get to the Phoenix 30. I know he wanted it further off the ground than that. Scott Jue picks it up with Trey Katzenbach as his dump, whom he has to try to go to, but he can't. And so he takes it out to Ryan Brown, who is in a good space there, the middle of the field on the far sideline. Dumps it to Sean Mott, who comes back up to Greg Strauss. Drops it back to Mott, over to Scott Jue, and, tipped by Mark Lloyd in the middle, and he's going back to pick it up at just shy of his own 10. We do not want to break here if you're the Phoenix. That's a nice shot upfield to Mario Zlatic. And a pretty easy goal. That looks like Ben Priest, was it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Trying to see who, not Jeff Powell. 71. That's Ian McKenzie, actually, caught the goal. Yep. So there's your first break, and Toronto goes up 5-3 with 4:42 left in the quarter. So far, the Phoenix have been hanging with them. They just need to maintain some offensive consistency. Nice downwind pull, stays in the middle of the field. And that's Ryan Weaver popping it out to Trey Katzenbach and back to Weaver in the middle of the field. But they are in their own end zone or at the goal line here. And, of course, want to stay away from the possibility of a Callahan, the other team catching an interception for a goal. And he turns it. That's going to be Toronto disc on the goal line. Unfortunately, that was Ethan Peck who dropped that. And we put it in the hands of Jared Marin, who pops it easily into Jeff Powell to go 6-3. Jarrett Marin was just a easy pickup and quick backhand dump. So how quickly the tide turns.
That's something that's going to happen all game. It's really hard to run your offense going upwind. If either team can ever get that upwind break, they have a much easier task of going on the field, getting a turn, and then putting it in the end zone, going downwind again.
Right, as Toronto did a few minutes ago on the goal to McKenzie. They got that upwind break on a turn. So now the Phoenix are coming downwind again. And we have Scott Shue and Ethan Peck. I think that's Ryan Weaver. We also have Himalaya Mehta down there and
Mike Arcata.
Sean Mott. Oh, my goodness. That's a boomerang right there. We have a pull that went up and came back to the Toronto 13. And there's no excuse here for the Phoenix to not get a goal. Scott Shue picking it up with Sean Mott as his dump, who can break from the backfield anytime. Scotty does a big looping backhand in the back of the end zone for the goal. I think that's to Mr. Peck. Ryan Weaver. That's Ryan Weaver, 48.
There are not a lot of people in the world that can throw that throw.
I'm sorry?
There are not a lot of people that can throw that throw. That was a very pretty backhand.
Just a nice outside in, almost bladey backhand, as we say.
Yeah, especially in the wind.
Right. The anytime you put a disc up more vertically in a breeze like this, you have a very much increased chance of disruption of your intended flight path. But that particular case, I think Scott got just what he wanted out of it. The receiver had to jump a little higher than maybe he expected, but he did that so he could take it in the chest between the numbers and bounce a ricochet if he needed to. Mr. Nardelli with the disc to pull for the Phoenix. Back within 2 at 6-4. He gets it past midfield, which seems to be the best one can hope for here. Number 20, Jeff Lindquist, easily over the middle to Kelly. Oh, and a turn coming back to Kelly. Just a little too I think it was a little too vertical in that downwind. It got mashed to the ground very quickly. Phoenix take it pretty much at the goal line on the cone. And that's Damiano dumping it back into the – oh, yeah, please, thank you. Got the foul call on that, little contact.
It's good for Philly. Gets him out of the end zone.
Oh, and then Nardelli drops it on the pass from 86, is that, or 96? 86. And I missed who that was. Sorry, guys.
Thompson McKnight with the throw there. Hitting that throw that Lindquist turned over just moments ago.
25 caught it. I think that's Jay Boychuk, it looks like.
3 goals now for him.
Holy cats. And they go to 7-4 with 2:51 left. And the Phoenix offensive line trying to keep those hands as warm as they can. Slipped into pockets, into armpits, or in gloves. We have Sean Mott out there with Himalaya Mehta and Trey Katzenbach, Scott Shue. The disc is up, and once again, just across midfield to the Phoenix 36. Scotty Shue will be picking it up. He has Himalaya Mehta deep, comes back and then goes. The dump to Katzenbach, who is one of the least likely to turn the disc over as a thrower. He puts it out here to Ethan Peck, who lofts it for Sean Mott, who makes a one-handed grab that's pretty impressive, ladies and gentlemen. That was a what we call a last-second adjustment, because that disc came down in a hurry. A little bit of that vertical attitude on that, just enough to.
Yeah, that was an exciting play.
It sure was. Developed quickly.
Yeah, and we definitely see the value of having your coach out there on the offensive line, able to calm everyone down, reset the disc, and then give it to Ethan Peck.
There are offensive players in this league who are turnover machines. Trey Katzenbach is not one of them. He's steady Eddie when he's at the helm there. He's almost always available for a dump. And with his height, he can take things away from smaller players if need be. But he's just very, very reliable in the backfield. He is a steadying influence. And he's staying in on D this time, I guess with the hopes of getting an offensive point generated. Matt Esser getting to the Toronto 36. It is picked up there by number 19, Thompson McKnight, who pops it up front to Massac Kelly, who is downfield to Jeff Lindquist, who dumps it over to Andrew Carroll for the goal. So I think that's Lindquist's first assist, maybe?
Second.
Second
assist.
Lindquist is another guy they rely on heavily. Just a really steady force in the middle. And Toronto takes an 8-5 lead. At first I thought this quarter was going to be a lot lower scoring than that. But Toronto's offense, is remarkable and consistent even in this weather. Our PA broadcaster is inspiring Jim Floyd, the owner of the Toronto Rush, to dance down on the sideline. I think he's trying to do that just to stay warm. As we say, the Rush had a good win against the Empire last night, who played them even for much of the evening. But it was a good 45 degrees warmer than it is today. And there we have Ethan Peck again picking up the disc over to Trey, who pops it immediately down the sideline back to Peck after Ryan Brown. Over to Scott Jew in the middle, who sees Himalaya Mehta, who reads it and takes it. That's a nice read, Mehta. So Scotty Jew with the assist. I believe that's his fourth. And it did. Himalaya Mehta with a very nice read as the disc sort of found an airfoil created probably by his own body and stayed up there for a moment, and he took it a couple steps further and then jumped up to get it.
The players have really adjusted to the wind. They're throwing a lot of those Frisbees into the end zone. And it's been pretty entertaining. And I like the strategy, too, because even if they don't get it, it's a long field to work upwind.
It's true. It really is. So at this point, from an offensive handling perspective, we seem to have Scotty Jew killing it with 4 assists. He has been picking up the disc pretty often. Now Damiano is marking Thompson McKnight, who dumps it back to Lindquist. Back to McKnight in the middle. And up quickly.
That's Carroll.
To Andrew Carroll. Ooh, big adjustment, and nope, a little air bounce on that. And Yearwood cannot get to it. So we have just been visited by our erstwhile owner here who brought us water. And at 1:26 left in the quarter. Who called that timeout?
Matt Esser called that timeout.
Okay.
Strong call. Let him set up here, run the offense, look for this upwind break.
Let's have a big round of applause for Lindsay, our event coordinator extraordinaire.
Martin Louis put it up this way, and that's how they got their upwind there. Phoenix should think about doing the same thing.
Right.
Big chunk right here.
Timeout on the field, 1:26 left in the first
Yeah.
quarter.
So the Phoenix have taken the timeout to see what they can do with this possession, maybe get that upwind break that is so coveted. And Trey Katzenbach, Himalaya Mehta, Scott Zhu. We have Strauss out there, Greg Strauss. And Mike Arcata himself, the captain and general manager, new general manager responsibilities for Mike this year.
He's put a lot of work into making this season go off.
Sean Mott and Arcata, them right down at the front of at the end of the stack, rather. Arcata's last man. Mott is somebody that you certainly have to watch cutting back or deep.
Some of the best athletes in the world are right
Trey
here.
Katzenbach is the second in the stack.
We resume play with 1:26 left in the first quarter.
And it looks like Ethan Peck is the dump. Which is where Scott Zhu goes. Ooh, Trey cannot quite get to that. A little upwind that went too far, believe it or not. And now, oh, that was Masick Kelly dropping that in the end zone, I believe. No, I'm sorry, 71. That was Ian McKenzie. Swing back to Scott Zhu. Oh, nice under flick right through the middle. Now we have Sean Mott back in the end zone. Back over here to Ethan Peck. There's Mike Arcata pretty much alone, but he's upwind, up the field. He's crying for the disc. Oh, a shot that hit the player on the shoulder. Made it very tough to catch there. Toronto coming back again. 87, Breton Tan. We heard his name all game last night in New York. Oh, a lofting. Going to see what the call is here. There's 15 seconds, so the clock has stopped with the timeout, which it would have stopped anywhere inside 30 seconds. It's going to stop now on a timeout, a foul, or an out of bounds. And then it's not going to start up again until the release of the first pass when it comes in. This is one of the new rules to help make these ends of quarters a little more exciting and give the offense a bigger opportunity to get something done. And it's a new thing for Ultimate players who play anything but the pros, because anywhere else it would not be a timed situation. We're getting a signal. He wants 21 seconds on the clock, I believe. Oh, 12 seconds. Up 2 seconds. Oh, he wants you to put 17 on the clock. 17 seconds on the clock. J.B. Harrington, who keeps a watch on himself down there, is very good about making sure that when the timeout is called that he notes it. He's got his thumb on it at that moment in the last 30 seconds. So we have 17 left on the clock. And Toronto trying to figure out how they're going to get it in. So the referee will blow this in, ladies and gentlemen. The stall count will begin, but the clock will not start until the pass is released. So don't be upset at our timekeeper when you see the clock stay still, even once the whistle blows, because Lindquist will have to throw it to start it. There's the stall. Oh, and a foul, a contact foul on Matt Esser. Lindquist takes paces. There's no time off the clock. That's not what you want to do here, Phoenix. And time is in now. I mean, not time, but the disc is in. There's the release. Too high.
Great mark.
Phoenix disc with 14. They could call a time here. He swings. Nardelli on the near side. Only 6. Oh, that's too bad. And we have a huck from the Toronto Rush with only one Phoenix player back. Thankfully, he catches the disc. And that's that. You heard the horn, ladies and gentlemen. So both teams avoid disaster there. And which would be, you know, allowing the other team to score with virtually no time left. So our first quarter score is now 8-6 Toronto, and we'll be back in a few moments with the second quarter. Thanks for tuning in.
This piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, you know, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they want us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they want us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they want us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I love.
Dallas takes possession, looking for the tie. And it was from the hands of Chris Larberg and by Zach Riggins. looking for the tie. And it was tipped.
Just tell me when we're in, Nick. They took us literally. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Early in the second quarter, the Phoenix have just received the pull, working it down the field with Ethan Peck on the far sideline. Scotty Zhu back there handling with him. He runs upfield, takes the toss, easy backhand. Oh! And we have that called up as Mike Arcata himself digs it out of the ground and then turns it over by throwing it past. I think Scotty sort of faked him out on that cut. Scott Hughes stops the long huck by number 6. Ooh. Jarrett Marin, and a miss on the far end of the field for Ian McKenzie, who puts it on the ground. Peck dumps it to Himalaya Mehta, who's looking at Ryan Brown deep and deciding no. And Mark Lloyd himself with the layout two-handed smackdown D. Easy dump pass and a timeout called by Toronto. Number 6, Jarrett Marin, calling the timeout. So we have the first timeout, I believe, for the Rush. Am I wrong on that, or is it their second?
It's their second timeout. They called one right at the end of the.
So that's the last of this half, which I'm pretty sure he's right. That's why I asked. They did call it for this.
Yeah.
That short play, they were trying to work it in.
With 15 seconds left.
So it's an interesting decision, and we'll see. I guess his concern was he didn't have enough people to go to here on offense. And again, it's the coveted upfield break that Toronto is after.
Now here, because of the time nature of the sport, it's not as bad for Philly to give this break up. They've prevented Toronto from scoring. So if they were to score here, it would almost be like a break opportunity because they prevented Toronto from scoring in the first quarter, and they got it back in the second quarter.
I think they may have had a couple of breaks on us in that first, but I think the Phoenix broke back once. I can't recall. Did we get an upwind goal first quarter? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe
Two
not.
breaks for Toronto.
Yeah, because they're up 2, obviously. And trying to dry off the disc on the far side with Dustin Damiano guarding him is Thompson McKnight. Getting high in the stall. He lofts it into the end zone, and it is caught by number 7. Isaiah Massac Kelly with the catch, and a nice one at that. So it's 10-6 now, Toronto. Or was that 8? 9, rather. It's 9, sorry, 9-6. Trey Katzenbach, Scott Hughes, Ethan Peck, Himalaya Mehta, Mike Arcata. And it looks like Ryan Brown there. So once again, we have the Phoenix having to go upwind here. And the pull settles in at about the 11. Clock starts on the pickup. Scott Hughes, easy backhand to Trey. Oh, a little high to Mike Arcata, who's on that sideline. Does a cross-field flick that Ryan Brown gets his hands on but can't quite bring in. And that's one of those things that's very hard to determined. I think he got his hands on. You got to give that turn to him. Oh, he almost takes it away. There you have Jeff Powell at the 11, dumping back to Brett and Tan. Oh, over somebody's head there, Mark Lloyd's. No, 21, I'm sorry, that's Jeff Powell. And there you have number 24 tossing it over to
it's Jeremy Norden.
To who was that?
Jeremy Norden.
Jeremy Norden.
And it was from Jeff Powell.
Yeah. And now it's 10-6. And the Phoenix are not starting this quarter the way they wanted to. So we have a downwind break here. So the Phoenix cannot get their upwind score. And this time we have Ryan Weaver coming out to join the regular O players. Katzenbach, Peck. It looks like Nardelli is out with Matt Esser. And I think that's Nick Patel. And Ryan Brown on the far side. Disc comes all the way to the Philly 22. That's a great pull. Ethan Peck hold. Oh! And he does a scuba that I think got tipped before he released it or was just a bad throw. But it's now at the Toronto 35. Matt Esser and Nick Patel double teaming the mark. They dump back. Ooh. Oh, Toronto drops it after a very good try by Zlatić.
Huge D there by
And
the
here we
Night
have Ryan Weaver going deep to, oh, it's moot. It's moot that Hampson can't bring it in because he dropped it on the end. He might have been out of bounds anyway, but he just couldn't hold the disc. Just a little far. That's that happy, excited time when you see a man wide open. And now Nardelli on the mark. Over to Mark Lloyd coming out of the end zone. And he gets a nice backhand up to about the 18. Back to the 10. That is down. Mark Lloyd with the turn. Trying to get to number 86, Dan LaFrance. Hampson with the disc at the Toronto 25, and it is D'd up by Ian McKenzie, who looks hurt. May just be the wind. I think the field is too wet to jam anything out here. Thankfully, you just hit and slide. But he took a good impact. He's coming off. Oh, who is it then? It's not Hampson. He's coaching, though. We have
Vince Radams.
Vince Radams?
Radams is wearing Hampson's shirt.
Ah, 79. Okay, thank you. Vince Radams, big, tall guy. We apologize to both of them. And we thank whoever that was who pointed it out to us, Nick Halliday. Dan has made a call on the far side. Think an offensive foul or a travel, one or the other. But
Coach,
Toronto's being walked back to their 10.
Coach on the field, a little too excited.
And Nardelli on the mark again. Ooh, he puts it in the middle to Mark Lloyd at the 32, who flicks it deep. And it is tipped away. Matt Esser with the D. A nice layout D for Matt Esser. Up to Nick Patel, who throws it over to Ryan Weaver on the far sideline. Nick. Yeah, Nick easily gets that. Patel again back over here to Ethan Peck. Down to Matt Esser at the Toronto 25. Phoenix really need – they start capitalizing. As I say it, Bryce Dunn takes one off the sternum and bounces away. Maybe a little quick from Matt Esser, but that's got to be caught when you hit between the numbers. And a big flick is up in the air again. Patel looked like he was going to get it, and it goes down. I think that's McKenzie threw that away. Who was that? Oh, jeez. And another D. Scooting in front of Matt Esser is number 74. Or who was that? Massett Kelly? No, 71. Yeah, it's 71, I guess, who did that. Ian McKenzie. And there we have Mark Lloyd throwing to 16. It looks like Ben Priesor. It's going to be McKenzie. Let me see his back of his number 6. It's Jarrett Marin. Mark Lloyd throwing to Jarrett Marin for the goal.
You're really seeing the difference in strategy here. Toronto, every time they have that disc going upwind, like the clock guy Steve has been saying, they're hucking it. They're throwing it as far as they possibly can, and either their players coming down with it or they're giving Philly a really long field to work with.
Right.
I'd like to see Philly try that here.
Well, I think it's looking like it's time for something different.
Yeah.
Because this has got to be getting frustrating for them now. So Vince Radums is one of the big new signings for the Phoenix with Dave Bayer. Is Bayer here today? Bayer not here today. That's good because we haven't been calling his name. Trey Katzenbach lets it bounce, pops it to Scott Jew in the middle. One of the only Phoenix wearing gloves. Dumps it back to Trey, and they're looking for a way to get out of this backfield. Oh. Scott Jew calling for a strip here, and he's going to get it. Contact. Bringing it up to about the 10 and blown in by the ref. Trey Katzenbach is again the dump. Scotty Jew finally finds Meta on the other side. Himalaya Meta looks for the flick, gets it back to Scotty Jew, who cannot hold on to it. And that's just a flat-out drop. It's too bad, but it's the wind is so tricky here. Woof. 21 on the goal line. Jeff Powell. Oh! Dumps back to Philip Turner. No, to 24. Who's 24? Jeremy Norton, of course. Oh! Just hits the ground there. That's dropped by Jay Boychuk. And Scotty Jew pops it deep for Sean Mott, who cannot bring it in. You could have made an argument he was interfered with there, but he had to come into the defensive player to even try to get that disc. It just got mashed by the wind. Scotty's flick was. Oh! And the Phoenix player definitely touched that before it left the Rush player's hand. That was Gordon Harrison, I believe. And once again, we have Sean Mott. This time there is a foul called on the play. Being interfered with by Massett Kelly. Mott will center it on the goal line because he was inside the 10 when it happened. So he can't take the yardage. He'll just get it on the goal line. And the disc is blown in. Easy backhand to Mr. Himalaya Mehta for his second goal. And Sean Mott there with his first assist. That's kind of shocking. But it is goal number 7. And now the Phoenix get to play downwind D.
Yeah, and we saw there once Philly started hucking it, they had much better success. It forced Toronto to work that long field, and that last throw along the sideline, the defender had no play on that disc. The only play that he had was to foul.
Right, right. And I'm sure that Sean Mott wishes they had called a foul sooner. I guess that was McKenzie, not Massick Kelly. I can't. I'm never sure with the two of them. I know. I thought about bringing binoculars today, and I forgot them as I went out the door.
Ready on the left. Ready on the right. And here's the pull.
Dustin Damiano with a rolling pull, which will get the disc good and wet, and is not stopped till the 15. We have Thompson McKnight with the disc. He swings it over to Yearwood, who's back there with him. And 7, that's Massick Kelly. Yeah, it was McKenzie, the blonde guy. 25 with the disc right out front here. Jay Boychuk dumps it back to Jeff Lindquist.
Andrew Carroll in the middle of the field. No, that's
25 again, Boychuk. Oh! Toronto on the threshold of their upwind goal. Massick Kelly. To, who is that, 40?
3 minutes, 3 seconds left in the half.
19. Massick Kelly to Thompson McKnight. And this is the kind of thing that can be demoralizing when they make it upwind like this.
Thank you, Margot, for the memories.
3:03 left in the half. Our guests with a 12-7 lead for the home team.
I want to see Philadelphia run that same offense that they were running last time out when they were going upwind. Try to throw the disc, keep it on the sideline if you have to, but throw it long.
Trey Katzenbach going to let it hit and then let Scotty Zhu pick it up. Over to Mr. Peck in the middle. Scott Zhu. Oh, and it's tipped away by a diving McKenzie who, he caught it after it was in his hand. He touched him in his hand, so there are two different calls. The two Dans have opposing calls here. And J.B. Harrington is coming in to discuss it.
The refs are making it difficult for our time guy in the booth.
Yeah. So there we go. And Scott Zhu on the other side, over to Ryan Brown, over to Sean Mott, who we really haven't seen a lot of today. Mr. Peck on the coming to this way, and Mike Arcata on the near sideline at midfield. Nice little flick to Scott Zhu in the middle, who puts up a hard upwind backhand to Ryan Brown for the goal. And that is important. That is a nice number 5 for Scott Zhu to Ryan Brown for the goal. And Scotty Zhu has 5 of the 8 goals. One might say they're relying a little heavily on him today. 2:11 left in the quarter and in the half.
Assists. I really like the.
It could be practice in the back too. They had football practice in the back. They do that sometimes. We're hearing other whistles. It's from it's from the music. Leonard might be. It's in the music, huh? I don't know, but there was one afternoon where I heard whistles, I thought on the field, but it was on the adjacent field behind us. Matt Esser with a really nice pull that's going to settle at the goal line for Toronto is caught. Yeah, I hear that. I think that's on the.
That's me right now. It's a video I took.
Oh. Is that you too?
Yeah.
Stop it. 91 on the near sideline. Cameron Harris looking for a receiver. Getting high in the stall. And there's Mr. Yearwood. Pops it over across the field to Jeff Lindquist. He's looking for a big backhand that gets interrupted and comes down to earth. Mother Nature with the stuff. That thing just whiffled and waffled and fell right down. Nick Patel's going to pick it up for the Phoenix with Dustin Damiano out as his swing man. A nice shot up to number 1, Brandon Pastor. And Esser back into Damiano. Back to Wenzel, 87, David Wenzel. Back in the middle. Ooh, easy backhand. Matt Esser with the layout grab. Nick Patel just keeps it in bounds. That was a nice play. Nick Patel to Matt Esser.
Let's go. We needed
So,
that break.
12-9. We're down to a 3-goal lead. And the Phoenix are now going to be trying to pop it deep to get this point started.
That's Philadelphia's first break of the game.
I am informed.
And it could not have come too soon.
No, really couldn't have. And they're still down only 3. So, looks like Ethan Peck is pulling this time. Where's Alan Michelle? I can't. Oh, it is Ethan Peck. Yeah. And that gets to the Toronto 30, which is a nice pull. Anything past midfield today, you got to be pretty happy with. And Mark Lloyd going deep as the receiver is overthrown in the flat, and Scotty Zhu picks it up. That was 91 with the overthrow. Cam Harris. Trey Katzenbach barely reins that in. And, a low backhand to Scott Zhu up at the 30. Coming upwind, we have.
There's a call on the field.
Timeout, or do we have a foul called? Trying to figure out what this discussion is resulting in. I think they thought that Scott Zhu was calling a timeout when he was just trying to hold on to the disc. Timeout Phoenix. All right, so that seems to be, well, they can't. Timeout left 1, so it should be 0 now. Yeah, I didn't know. Thought they had taken 2 already. But I think the one I thought they took in the first quarter was actually Toronto.
Timeouts left is actually over the TOL.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, this is another piece of the unique nature of the scoreboard. The timeouts left is actually a space above that acronym, which is blank. We don't have zeros for it, so it's just blank right under the scores. So what do you think, Alex? What are they going to try here?
So they have the disc about 30 yards out of the end zone. There's a lot of time. I want to see them work that disc to the middle of the field and then try to get some quick break side action, see if they can score there. I want them to use as much time as possible. Also, I do not think they need to give Toronto the disc back here.
No, that would be nice. Well, what do you think Toronto's going to do as a force?
Well, they've been double-teaming everyone except for Trey. Every time Scotty's had the disc, they've double-teamed him. They almost triple-teamed him there last time. They're really trying to get those handlers to give up the disc.
Yeah.
And so I think we can look for that too. I wouldn't be surprised if they double-teamed Scotty coming out of the break here and try to force them to have someone else make the play.
So they can get a turn and a downwind shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
Scotty,
that's what they're after, yeah.
And Scotty's been doing really well today. So
he has.
force the disc out of his hands, give it to someone else to make the play.
Yeah. And, of course, with the double team, all he really has to do is find that open guy if he's within reach. So we have a fairly vanilla stack. We have Peck back as the dump. We do have the double team with Mark Lloyd on Scott Jew. He goes to the dump immediately. Peck fakes the backhand to keep Lloyd honest. And then, an upfield. They called that contact on Vince Radams. And Vince takes it to the 15. And they blow the clock in with less than 30 seconds, so it's on the release. There it is. Scott Jew gets the disc. We're down to 19. And he lofts it up. And go left, young man. There it is. Nice catch.
What a catch.
Scott Jew to Radams, Vince Radams, for his first goal. That was a huge throw.
2 days on the team, he's already bringing Philly back into it.
Scott Jew with another goal, another assist, rather. And Philadelphia back in this, arguably at 12-10. And we still have 13 seconds left. But I don't think Toronto would be ecstatic to get a goal here in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's likely if you have any kind of decent defensive coverage at all.
I agree, especially going into the wind. I mean, you got to think it's going to be – they have to work it at least to half field to have a good shot. To hook.
Yeah. Because the pulls have been, the guys who are taking all day to wind up are only getting to half field. So,
That's
yeah,
true.
you're right.
Now, that being said, Mark Lloyd has had a lot of success today hucking it into that wind.
He does have an arm.
But Philly should be able to just leave some people back, guard the end zone.
And here comes the pull. It's going to bounce, and Lloyd he goes by it. I think they're looking for him for the second or third throw.
Or is
he's in the middle. He's a little jammed up. We're down to 6 seconds. Oh, it's over his head. He catches it anyway, and that's it. Time. That was late. Yeah, that throw did not get off. I definitely saw zeros on the clock before the throw was released. So wouldn't have counted anyway, but, we have a great game here, folks. 12-10. The Phoenix will be getting the disc in the second half because I remember they pulled from here in the first to start the game. They pulled from this end. So they'll be getting it to start the half from this side, I believe, and coming on down. And we'll have to come back and see what happens. Again, we thank you for hanging with us today, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes with the second half. Thanks very much.
Chris Larberg and caught by Zach Dallas takes possession, looking for the tie. And it was tipped off the hands of Chris Larberg and caught by Zach Riggins.
cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
The kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with
this piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
possession, looking for the tie. And it was tipped off the hands of Chris Larberg and caught by Zach
Program. The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
This piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
Dallas takes possession, looking for the tie. And it was tipped off the hands of Chris Larberg and caught by Zach
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Yeah, I loved that.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the beginning of the third quarter today here of the Toronto Rush visiting the Philadelphia Phoenix. We have a halftime score of 12-10, which is closer to what I expected than our 8-6 or 8-7 first quarter score. It has gotten a little more difficult for each of these teams. Usually in these timed games, we see the better offenses get into the high 20s, low 30s. But even Toronto is only at 12 today. And the Phoenix, after falling behind by as much as 4, I think they're got it back.
Yeah, they went on a nice run.
A little closer, mainly with some intense D, a few Toronto mistakes, and a couple of long upfield shots. Oh, the Phoenix, I guess that's right, second quarter they got the disc. So they'll get it for the fourth quarter. They're pulling here, but they will get it for the fourth quarter.
They also get to switch fields. No, they don't. They do switch fields, but only because they got the break. So
Right.
Toronto will be going downwind again.
Right. Matt Esser with the launch. It's that's I don't think going to be good. That's a little too boomerangy, and it's going out of bounds. Oof. Let's hope it went out at about the 30 and not the 25. Oh, man. He's saying the 22, 21. Matt just got a little too much air under there.
Yeah, that's the sort of throw that Matt just wants his O-line back out there sooner.
And we have Thompson McKnight. Oh, looked a little like a travel on number 3, Andrew Carroll, but Thompson McKnight helps him out. Oh, I can't quite hold on to that.
Just too far for Yearwood.
Nick Patel getting double teamed, as Toronto has really shown they love to do here. Oh, and Damiano missed his opportunity for the upcut to Ryan Weaver out in the flat, but now he's back in the end zone. The Phoenix really have to get a little bit of something upfield. Nick Patel reins it in. Matt Esser, barely gets it under McKnight, and then puts a flick over the middle.
Our dog.
No, that's going to be yes. He caught it and then got bumped and dropped it. And number 3 there, Andrew Carroll, I think is asking for the spirit call, but not going to get it. Nardelli with a nice flick. Oh, and a little bit of a misread by Bryce Dunn there. He went up a little early, and it hung out on him. He still had position. He should have just stayed where he was.
Great D.
Oh, and there it is, Eric Nardelli with the big D coming through the middle.
Yeah, Nardog has had an impressive couple quarters as a two-way player here.
And Damiano grounds it out, trying to get back to him. Unfortunate, wasted opportunity. Yearwood lucky to get hold of that one. Lofts a big flick. Oh, and that's Massac Kelly cannot quite catch up to it. Laying out in the end zone. And here we have Ryan Weaver on the far side with a nice flick that is D'd up because Bryce Dunn does not come to the discard enough.
Wow, that is a tough inside throw.
Oh, and another one bites the dust, ladies and gentlemen. Down disc, Matt Esser picking it up, walking to the goal line. This will be the Phoenix's third opportunity on this point to actually make something happen. Bryce Dunn catches it that time over to Nick Patel, who swings it to Damiano, back to Patel. A fake in the middle by Nardelli to Matt Esser, and Damiano with the disc up at the 16 of Toronto. Dumps it back to Bryce Dunn, who's going out into the flat. Oh, and he picks it. That's a goal. His first contact is in the end zone. That is a nice catch by Bryce Dunn.
What a bid.
Makes up for a couple of his turns on that point.
What a bid.
And who was that threw that in, Nardelli? Or
No, I think that was Damiano.
Damiano, yes, thank you. Dustin Damiano with his first assist of the game. Damiano a lot more active on that point too.
Yeah, that's a big break coming out of the hat.
It is huge, and they the Toronto Rush were generous enough to give them 3 opportunities, and the third one was the charm. Yep, it could be very big here. That's true.
Ooh, Trey's out there on D-line now. He put out a fresh D-line, trying to keep the legs.
Scott Jew is staying there. And is that number 1, Brandon Pastor, is back out. I don't know what that headgear is he's got on, but I don't think it's Phoenix authorized. That goes out at the goal line, so it will be a brick, which you really would rather not do on a day like this. You want to keep it inbounds. That's kind of your top priority on these downwind pulls. He wanted the 25-yard line, but he'll settle for the 20. Jarrett Marin over here to Powell on this side. Lucky to get it under the arm of Ryan Brown. Ryan Brown with a point block D. Scotty Jew double-teamed, gets it to Trey Katzenbach, who takes that inbounds. Nice shot up to Wenzel. Centered to Scott Jew.
Throw it to him.
Who's making his decision. Dave Wenzel. Oh, very nice. Wenzel to number 1, Brandon Pastor, for his first goal. And this game is tied, ladies and gentlemen. This game is tied. That was Wenzel. Who threw that, did I say?
6 of the last 7 goals have been scored by the Phoenix, which is really, that's a run and a half there.
That is.
It's great to see him get into a rhythm like that, too. And they're really getting helped out by their defense. It's some big D's on that point.
Ready on the left, ready on the right.
Is that Nardelli who threw that?
Here's the ball.
No, I think it was Trey, actually.
Oh, Trey Katzenbach.
Yeah,
okay.
Trey Katzenbach.
I think you're right.
Oh,
Wenzel?
Wenzel?
Okay. Wenzel, Dave Wenzel. There we go. Sorry, Trey, we're taking that back from you. So, tie game. Here are the Rush already at the 30 of Philadelphia. That's a contact strip. That's just him hitting him with the disc.
Yeah, it's like ripping through in basketball.
That's Vince Radums in Hampson's jersey there. Interesting. And number 7, Massett Kelly over to Toronto. Number 20 to 76 for the goal. Drew Wilson pulls it in on a throw from Jeff Lindquist. And Toronto gets its first point of the second half.
Man, Philly's O-line's out here. I think this might be the first O-line point that Philly's had in the second half. So a lot of these guys have got to be well rested.
And maybe a little cold.
Maybe a little cold. Well, give him a chance to warm up.
You've got to give Himalaya Meta credit for being out there in shorts. 3 or 4 of these guys.
Mike Arcata, too.
Mike Arcata, yeah.
Meta's one of the players, the patrol players, that probably came over with Trey becoming the coach. He was able to pull a lot of them over.
Yeah.
Meta, Patel, Radums, who's been a big factor in the game.
And where's Ethan Peck from? Was he patrol guy too or no? I don't think so. Was he?
I think he plays patrol now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Former spinner?
A lot of former spinners on the
team. And that pull does not make midfield. Scott Jew taking his time, perhaps a little too much. Oh, it's Mr. Peck, Ethan Peck with the disc to Scott Jew on the far sideline. He faked a little hammer there for a second.
Great cut to get open.
Himalaya Meta with a cut back and then to the sideline. These guys are going to have to be very active. Sean Mott on the far sideline. Toronto seems to have done a good job on shutting him down a little bit. Oh, and another cross. We have to give that turn to Scott Jew, although the defense by 43 there was a nice play. Gordon Harrison, layout D, did a nice job. I would say that was not a great throw by Scott Jew. Oh, we're going to get a foul there for sure.
Wood on court.
Contact, yeah.
That was incredible to make that throw in the wind like that.
That was. It really looked like it was pinpoint. And the Phoenix player was catching up to that play, but unfortunately got his feet tangled or just plowed the guy over. I couldn't tell quite which it was. Dump back to Mark Lloyd, who's looking, ground out, backhand, Phoenix disc.
Too low.
That's a turnover by Lloyd for sure. Can't give anyone else credit for that. Scott Jew looking for someone, a nice easy throw to Meta over the middle, who's also looking. Easy dump to Sean Mott. And he puts a big flick that's going to get D'd. And collision. Is that Mike Arcata coming back for that?
Yeah.
But the Toronto player put himself in harm's way, and I think was not able to see how close. Wasn't Arcata. That's Greg Strauss.
It looks like he collided with the feet there a little bit.
I think that's Strauss. I do need my binoculars to read the front of their jerseys. He's getting two-man help off the field, Brett and Tan. I don't think the AUDL has concussion protocol yet, but was that head impact? Did you see? Did he hit his upper body?
Yeah, it looked like he collided with the feet of the Phoenix player.
Of 13, yeah, it was Greg Strauss. McKenzie on the far side with the disc. His younger brother Michael not playing today. Oh, nicely read by 77, 71, 77. Who is that? Maybe it's 71. No. 71 is McKenzie.
Clock's running.
I think we have another. Yeah, the clock should be running. Keep the clock running. It should be running. Mark Lloyd, big up, and number 3 comes down with it, Andrew Carroll. Number 74 that time picks it up, or 14 is that? Marizlatic, yeah. 71, McKenzie, 89, Mark Lloyd looking from his own 22. Easy backhand to Carroll. Back to Lloyd, to Nardelli, to number 11, Jonathan Edwards.
It seems like Mark Lloyd's just getting whatever he wants as a throw. He's one of the best players in the world, and he's showing out there on the field.
And the Rush have gone back 2 up. And now we have the Phoenix are going to have to work upwind.
Brett Tan, the Rush player that got injured, seems to be doing all right on the sideline. He's laughing with some of the trainers, giving high fives, standing up straight. So that's good to hear.
Your Philadelphia Phoenix 12. 3:51 left in the quarter.
All right, so Mr. Lloyd with a big flick hits the ground at about the 13 and is almost stopped by Ryan Weaver, but not quite. Tosses it to Trey and gets it back, puts it over to Radams. It gets tipped and then knocked down by Powell. Matt Esser on him, Mark Lloyd looking deep. Now he holsters it for Boychuk. And just trying to find it. Oh, there it is. And that's Mark Lloyd. Boychuk to Lloyd.
Jay Boychuk turns
now they're
around
up
and
3.
giving it. That's such a difficult play. That comes from those players playing together for a long time. Because Boychuk turned around, he knew right where Mark Lloyd was going to be.
Yeah.
His back was turned to him. Well, at the beginning of the half, Philadelphia was not turning the disc over. They had really clean offense. They were converting. Now they've had a couple turnovers, a couple throwaways, a couple drops, and they haven't been able to adjust as quickly.
Yeah.
It's hurting them.
How quickly momentum can shift. We have a big pull from Jarrett Marin that's actually hovering over the 30 and dropping at the 26 or so. Scott Jew fakes a swing and pops it up to Trey Katzenbach. It's a quick little backhand in the middle to Peck. And again, it's going to be D'd up. It's just, you know, that we need that loft from him. Line drives downwind are not going to do it here today. Now, defensively, you could say the Phoenix have an opportunity here with some good D and good forces to get the disc back quickly. Let's see if they can do that. Uh-oh, there it is. Himalaya Meta to Sean Mott. Mott over to Arcata. Oh, and right into the guy's hands. That's Mike Arcata's turn. Sorry, Mr. Manager, but that's your throwaway. Oh, a foul called. Okay. On Trey Katzenbach, though. So an offensive foul and a turn? I mean, how did that get?
They're calling it a strip. So.
Oh, a strip on Katz. And he did throw it to Katzenbach. Okay, so we take that turn away then. From Arcata. Ooh. Trey just can't quite bring that in.
2 minutes left in the quarter.
But Sean Mott gets the disc downfield. Back to Ethan Peck. Looking for Mike in the flat. The wind is picking up. You see their jerseys just flapping out there. And right now, flat backhands seem to be the rule of the day. That's a nice pickup by Himalaya Meta between two Toronto defenders. And a flick that Sean Mott reins in. And a toss to Ethan Peck for the goal.
Wow.
Sean Mott to Ethan Peck. And we got one back.
Ethan Peck made his break cut, and the wind blew his hat off. He then dished the throwaway, stopped, picked up his hat, put it on, ran upfield, and scored the point.
You got to love a guy with that kind of calm, cool collectedness.
Yeah, that's dedication to his brand.
There you go. Grab the hat and then throw the goal. Matt Esser going to be doing the upwind pull honors again. And we do have a sort of D-line with Nick Patel and Damiano and Scott Jew for handling Matt Esser, and we have Ryan Weaver on the near side.
Ooh, it looks like Esser might switch to a flick pull here. Try to get it on the. Try to get it to roll.
Going the backhand. It's going to roll anyway. Gets another 5 or 6 out of that. Down to the 35 of the rush, and he is on the mark. Matt Esser himself on McKnight. Oh, first throw, it's down.
Yeah, miscommunication.
Phoenix disc at the 17 or 20-ish. Damiano throws it away right away behind his receiver, Ryan Weaver.
Carroll with the
third
disc.
turn today.
Back to Yearwood in the middle.
Uh-oh, and the rush give it right back on a turn from that looked like Yearwood turfing it there. It was. Yearwood with the turn. Scott Jew with the flick midfield to Damiano, who's coming in Nick Patel, but no, back to Scott Jew. They still need someone to get open upfield just a little, and that's a nice under flick from Scott Jew. Damiano with the fake backhand gets his man off him for an open throw to Dunn. Over to Patel at the 35. Phoenix are really working it here. Nardelli up at the 33 of the rush. Oh, he almost gets point blocked or kick blocked right there. But he gets it away to Nick Patel, who puts it to Damiano in the middle. Back to Nardelli. Oh, darn, Ryan Weaver can't hold on. Nardelli threw it behind him. And the quarter is over with the disc falling harmlessly to earth. Well, that was a hectic point, and unfortunate for the Phoenix because they really had a couple shots there, a couple good shots. They had gotten it up to the 30.
Yeah, they had an open player in the end zone, and they look for the close shot. They're playing Trey Katzenbach style of ultimate, which is possession ultimate. Get a lot of break side action, a lot of break side throws. I don't know.
It's interesting because this was, I think, also, you know, the high school where a bunch of that Pennsbury line came from last year. Also very much a possession offense. You know, their small ball has just been devastating for years. We used to play college teams, and they would ask, how come you guys never turn it over? And we'd say, well, that's kind of the point of the game is maintaining possession. But they would just kill these bigger players with the little upline outside flicks, you know, that came around and came back in. Of course, today, your options for throwing are so limited because of the wind here.
Yeah.
You just can't do, you know, it really, honestly, it really hampers even the great throwers just because they're, you know, they're limited to what they can do.
Yeah, the only player that we've really seen able to cut through this wind is Mark Lloyd. He's one of the best throwers in the world, and even he's had some troubles, especially attacking some of these upper corners.
He's turfed a couple out here.
Yeah.
So this time the Phoenix will be getting the disc and going downwind, which is a lucky thing for them.
Yeah, and this is a big deal too because they prevented the rush from scoring. So it's almost like a break opportunity. Now they prevented the rush from scoring and they're getting the disc back. It's one of the quirks of having it timed and in quarters is that you don't need to match the other team for breaks. You just need to score at the end of each half and then get the disc at the beginning of the quarter.
Right. Looks like both teams have both of their timeouts. And we have the sort of regular offensive line with Peck, Brown, Zhu, Arcata, Katzenbach, Mott, and Meta out there.
What a throw.
Peck is picking it up in about the 30 in the middle of the field, looking for Scotty Zhu for his swing or dump. Sean Mott making a lot of those sliding catches today. Scott Zhu with a nice fake, and then a very tough low throw for Himalaya Meta. can't blame him for dropping that one. That's a tough one to come up with. We have a stall. And Sean Mott not going to pick that up. Trey is telling him to let Scott Jew do that. Sean going to the back of the stack. Scotty Jew just throws it away. We're going to have to give him that one. And Mark Lloyd, Mr. Upwind, with the disc for Toronto. Trey Katzenbach marking him over to Powell in the middle. And out to Zlatić on the far side. Maridio Zlatić. Oh, with the flick that is behind Mark Lloyd. And another opportunity. Trey Katzenbach with the disc now. Peck is unconscious of the defense he's ambling into, so he dumps it back to Scott Jew. And Sean Mott with another soft floater. That's a little too soft that time. And Meta gets underneath Jarrett Maron. I don't think Jarrett Maron, he didn't mean to do anything there. Meta went to the ground, and Maron just tripped over him. But nonetheless, it is a Toronto disc in their end zone. And we will see if that gets called as contact and gets brought out. Just kind of asked after the disc went by maybe, but looks like J.B. Harrington is.
It looks like Toronto's going to keep it. This is a big challenge for this Philadelphia O-line to defend here.
Yeah, they're bringing the disc up to the goal line. Don't know if that's 10 for a penalty or just the reset that happens. Ooh, McKenzie on the far side. Inside Scott Jew, working him out a little bit. Double team now with Peck. Oh! And Ethan Peck is right there. McKenzie saying it's still in his hand. He feels it should be a strip, but the double team worked. Now they're employing it on Scotty Jew, who gets it out to Sean Mott. And they don't have a double team on him.
Scotty's been splitting that double team all game.
He's calling a timeout. He's asking for a spirit call on. He's complaining about something that the guy was doing on 91. Yearwood. But they call a timeout, so the Phoenix have called their first timeout of the second half. And a wise thing for Sean Mott to be able to have that dialogue and still get the timeout without sacrificing anything there, namely possession.
Yeah, that was Cam Harris on the mark.
Was it?
Yeah, for Mott. He is a really crafty player. He gets a lot of little hand touches on the mark, and that's probably what Mott was complaining about.
And I don't think it's illegitimate. They may look subtle, but you can do things that impair people's ability to move or throw in that situation. And that's supposed to be all you need for the grounds of a foul. You know, as for myself as head ref, my mantra to the rest of the crew was that if the contact, however gentle, is enough to disrupt the reception or the throw, you must call it.
A lot of times, though, it's something that's very difficult to see, which makes it really difficult to call.
It's true. It's much easier to feel those things, which is why the players get upset when nobody else seems to notice. And, of course, the continuous refrain has been that the players do not believe the refs make enough calls, quite to the contrary of what sort of you would intuitively think as the main problem.
Yeah.
So we have Trey Katzenbach being the dump for Ethan Peck here, but nobody's covering them yet. McKenzie and Lloyd are walking up to do that. And we have a stack that's tilted towards the middle of the field for the Phoenix.
It looks like they're still double teaming Peck and
the throw, yeah. The first one anyway.
Well, they're just trying to get out of Peck and Zoo's hands whenever they have the disc.
Right. Himalaya Meta back to Katzenbach, still on the far side. Trey is looking around for his options. Nice in the middle to Peck. These guys need to keep coming to the disc and not try to stop, because the defenders are going right by them for the blocks. Katzenbach to Peck and back to Trey. Looking upfield, then he sees his dump. Ethan Peck, he goes back to be his dump. Nice with Mott. He scoops that up. The refs is saying up. He's at the 10 or the 8. And a big weird flick to number 13, Greg Strauss, for the goal.
Wow.
Sean Mott quietly racking up his 3rd assist.
Wow.
And Philadelphia back within 1.
You know, with all that wind out there, it still looks like Sean Mott's throwing at the beach.
Yeah, right. Right, that was nicely put. You can't say anything else. It was right where it needed to be. He didn't have it quite as flat, so it came down a little more quickly, but yes, it was right where it needed to be.
That's true, and it's sort of a tricky sort of throw, tricky release, very quick, and the defender's not really looking for it. It's fun to watch.
It is. It is. These conditions, we've got 9 minutes left, and it's still 15-14. They've only scored 3 points in the second half, has Toronto, and the Phoenix have only scored 4. So the third quarter was not your high-scoring quarter. Toronto going to get this in nice field position just on their side of midfield. Matt Esser working over number 19, Thompson McKnight. They get it up quickly to Andrew Carroll. He's at the 15. And Nardelli trying to contain him. Oh, is that Matt Esser with another layout D? He's been doing that a lot today.
Matt Esser plays defense like a train.
He really does. I have at least 3 for him. Nick Patel, nice backhand over to Ryan Weaver in the middle of the field, dumping it back to Nick again. Back to Weaver. Oh, and they put it out for Nick and OB, unfortunately. Excuse me. Jarrett Marin tapping it in. No, I'm sorry. Number 20, Jeff Lindquist. Lindquist, Trey Katzenbach does not like that call. Their feet tangle. That's incidental contact from their perspective. I'm inclined to agree with the players on that one. I don't think that should have been a Phoenix foul.
I don't think they had a play on the disc.
Esser guarding him, and it's easy from Thompson McKnight to Andrew Carroll for the goal. Unfortunately, a nice recovery off a perhaps questionable call.
That was a great opportunity for Andrew Carroll to show off that speed.
He was.
He stood in the front of the stack and ran as fast as he could to the open side. Philly just couldn't keep up with him.
I have to say, at this point in the game, in this weather, I did not expect it to be 2 points.
No, they played it really close. They had a great run in the end of that second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter to really bring it back to even with Toronto. I also wonder if Toronto's played 2 games back-to-back. This is their second game in 2 days. I wonder if that's kind of getting to them a little bit.
Yeah.
Their legs are starting to flag.
That could be. And apparently it was cold last night, though it was warm yesterday. Their game was pretty cool by the time it started. I guess that was around 7.
And it got very windy, too.
Yeah, that too. Scott Jew dumping it to Peck. Now he's going deep again. And once again,
great grab.
This time he got it in the air and it came down just inside the goal for Sean Mott. That's a nice quick one. But he didn't do the line drive that time. He got it up in the air, which is what he needed to do.
What a put.
And Sean has his second goal against 3 assists. Again, quietly getting that stat line up to its customary quantities. And now we're going to have an upwind pull from Matt Esser with Katzenbach, Patel, Damiano, Weaver, Scott Jew, and Mr. Nardelli on the field.
Nick Patel gives a lot of haircuts in the Frisbee Ultimate community.
He does,
yeah,
huh?
It's called Cuts by Patel, which
Oh,
is funny because it's also cutting at Frisbee. So.
Oh, funny, yeah. Cuts by Patel.
Parts.
The far side referee is interfering with the disc. No, he's just knocking it down there because it's at midfield.
Those are the kind of hands that make someone a ref.
Yeah. Is that Spiceman? No, that's not. That is Spiceman. Don't want to say that. Right at the midfield down to the 26, 27. And that's Massett Kelly throwing it to Boychuk, who is going to go get the goal.
Carroll threw that.
Carroll, was it Cam Carroll?
Carroll threw it.
Or
Boychuk on the goal line.
Yeah, Cam Carroll. Andrew Carroll threw it to Boychuk.
Well,
for the goal, it can be disconcerting how quickly they get these back.
Yeah, they might have scored just as quickly, but I didn't like it. It wasn't as fun to watch. So.
Yeah.
Take that, Toronto.
And now we have Jarrett Marin holding the disc, getting ready to pull. And the O-line is back out, including Arcata, Katzenbach, Mott, Peck, Zhu, and Himalaya Mehta.
I want to see him go deep again. I like that play.
And I think is that Bryce Dunn back out there again? Yes, 33. Scott Zhu up to Ethan Peck in the middle of the field. The Phoenix are all on the left side cutting across. Ooh. Sean Mott gets that, takes it away from number 76. Oh, he's going deep, and it's over. It's just over Arcata and to the backside when he needed to put that out front.
It looks like Arcata was trying to draw the foul there, running into the Toronto player. But
and Drew Wilson was doing a madman's dance in front of Sean Mott, trying to just, make that throw as difficult as possible. Scott Zhu on the mark. Oh! Almost taken away. Jarrett Marin giving Mehta a contact call on that. Mark Lloyd's going, they were in each other's pockets there. Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Look at that. Going upwind, and it just hangs for him. That nice flat throw.
All the yards he gained off of that floating disc.
There it is, a nice tip away. Ethan Peck knocking it out of bounds at about the 20. 15, Scott Zhu with the disc. Oh! Sean Mott, and this is going to be a hospital pull up in the air for 17 different guys. Ethan Peck being where he needs to be with a scuba to Himalaya Mehta, who's all alone. Easy to Peck back in the middle. And looking at Sean Mott, who has to turn around and take it in the end zone.
Wow.
Another Peck to Mott. I think we might see a few of those with the season going forward. Sean Mott now with 3 of each, goals and assists. And Philly back inside 1.
That was pretty throw and grow offense by Peck there.
Yeah, it really was. He was the man on that point. It all went through him.
Yeah. And he hit that scuba. He tried one earlier in the game that he put right into the ground.
Right.
That one floated nice.
Yeah, this one was very nice. Again, a nice adjustment. And Mehta knew exactly where it had to be. He was open. Made it easy for him. So Esser about to pull. And we have Radams out again with Damiano and Ryan Brown and Ryan Weaver. And that gets to the 35.
Carroll goes
Matt
all the
Esser
way
on the
that
mark.
cut.
Oh, almost. Nardelli almost got in on him. And he's back covering the last man already. Nick Patel on the mark briefly. Matt Esser now on McKnight. And Carroll. It's just too easy for him. To Yearwood, I guess. Is that Yearwood caught that? Yeah.
That's his first goal of the day for Yearwood. Toronto has a lot of young players, but push has come to shove, and we're seeing them run it through their veterans. Carroll's a 10-year vet playing with Toronto. Massey Kelly, Yearwood, Lindquist.
Guys are trying to throw their jackets to the sidelines, and they're taking off like spinnakers.
Yeah.
So that looks like we're going to have Mackenzie pulling again.
We have the Philly O-line back.
Or
out
no,
there.
I'm sorry, not Jared Marin pulling again. Mackenzie's in with him. Yes, the Philly O-line is back. You're right. There's Ryan Brown. He was not on the last point. And that's a nice pull by Marin. Drops in at about the 28, 29. Ethan Peck, Scott Jew on one side, Trey Katzenbach on the other. He goes up the middle to Gat Marcata. And he gets it to Mott, who puts it around to Scotty Jew, and it's a turf disc. That's a turnover on Sean Mott. Unfortunate timing.
Another miscommunication in the backfield.
Yeah. He just timeout called. We're trying to decide who called it. Has to be Toronto because they have possession. There we go. Ah, right. They have been given yellow hankies to the coaches to call those timeouts because there are often people suggesting it on the sideline who are not qualified to make the call. And Toronto coaching staff getting in the moment with the music. It's pretty funny here. I hope they're showing some of that. Looks like Nick is catching a little of it. No.
It's tough to stand on the sidelines out there. It's windy, it's wet, it's cold. If you're not dancing, you're going to freeze.
Well, I'm impressed with the owner, Jim Lloyd standing out as long as he did. He could be up here, but he's hanging down there with his shipmates, with his crew. Of course, these guys are all from Toronto, so of course the weather is not a big deal to them, but it doesn't make it any more fun to play in.
Not at all.
When it's wet and nasty like this. McKnight coming off, and so we have another chance for Toronto to get an upwind break here, which the Phoenix would dearly love to prevent. They're starting at the Phoenix 37. Harrison's going to be taking the ball. Gordon Harrison with the disc. Picks up Matt Esser on him. And 23, Alan Michel covering Mark Lloyd and giving away about a head in height. Oh, it was very close to getting taken by Bryce Dunn, who just missed that and is putting a good mark on Jay Boychuk.
Wow, hammer all the way across the field.
All the way across. Oh! And it's tipped away. He can't quite come down with it. Number 21, that was. Jeff Powell could not quite rein it in. There's the soft backhand. Nicely done by Damiano. And then, poor Eric Nardelli just throws it away. He's going to feel awful about that one. Little soft toss away. And a big flick across field this time. Taken in the back of the end zone by Boychuk, I believe. Is that? No, 76. That's Drew Wilson, yeah. Such an opportunity, and they were starting to move it out of the flat. It looked good.
But only the loudest bangs are going to get them.
So, again, a 3-goal margin with 3:49 left. But I still think this has got to be an encouraging game for the Phoenix.
I think so, too. Toronto's shaping up to be, if not the best, and one of the best teams in the league.
Again.
Yeah, it's a big deal to stick with them, especially these lines that they've been running out. They started the game kind of playing their kids, but right now they've just been running the veterans out over and over, and Philly's hanging with them.
And they're not an easy crew to beat.
No.
So the pull is coming our side a little bit and then curving back in. Lets it hit first. I think that's Sean Mott deep in the end zone. Ethan Peck gets it out to Trey, who's looking upfield, gets it to Meta. Back to Peck. See that across field? Oh, Meta. Nice to Scott Jew on this side. He thinks about Mott, but lets him go. A nice, that inside underhanded flick he does to Peck again. Ooh, these discs are just out of the reach of the defenders.
Ooh, Philly player going deep.
Ethan Peck, he sees him. It's Mike Arcata, and he's too early. He just can't quite get up.
Mark Lloyd spooked him coming down.
Well, that's a freight train, too, coming at you, you know. Yeah, play the disc. It's true. Steve Leiner just making the comment, don't play the man, play the disc. Little scoober over the top.
Oh, my gosh, Mark Lloyd.
And a deep huck that is dropped. Trey Katzenbach not going to bring that up. Not going to bring that up. And that was 86, Dan LaFrance, who dropped that, one of their young guys. Scott Jew walking it to the line, just in time for the clock. Up to Peck in the middle. Over to Ryan Brown on the far side. Back to Trey. Trey is being studious here. And Ethan Peck. Again, this time Ryan Brown is wide open. Oh, and he's calling a strip. Ryan Brown is asking for the strip, and he's going to get it.
Yeah, that's a good call.
That was Mark Lloyd getting his hand on it just after and pulling it away. And Ryan Brown going to the 5 with Mark Lloyd waiting behind him at the 10, wondering why he's not there. And the disc is in. A little backhand. He floats it too much. It's tipped. It's tipped again. Sean Mott asking for the foul. And he's going to get it. He's going to get it. Or on a strip, one or the other. But it's immaterial. It's going to be on the goal line for the Phoenix. Sean Mott, vertical stack straight up the middle. Trey Katzenbach in the back right corner.
Philly's got to score here. I mean, time
they sure do.
Them as much
and
as
he does it to Scott Jew, a little underhanded backhand for the goal. Sean Mott, Scotty Jew's first goal of the game, which is nice to see and also a little surprising. And we're back to 2. 19-17, which means that they've played this half even.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is. It is. For the team this good to play these guys even in lousy weather, it's a good showing.
Yeah, they're a new team. There are a lot of new players, so it's nice to see them work through the game as a roster.
I don't know if you could say yet that there's huge chemistry, but at least there's some cohesion.
Yes.
You know, they are working as a team, and that is nice to see.
And it looks like they're having fun, which in this weather seems difficult.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. It ain't easy being wet and cold all through this. So looks like Nick Patel is out on D with Trey. And, of course, Nardelli and Peck and Meta and Mott and Esser. And we apparently weren't ready for the pull?
Or an offsides call. One or the other.
Oh, they get to come up. Oh, this is – I believe this is where Toronto has to start in the middle of the end zone. And they just get the disc underway before the Phoenix can get down and play D. That's not right. You can't do that.
That clock was not running, pal. Don't even start saying that in your Canadianese.
1:12 left, which is another way of saying English. We have
French.
1:12 left. That's Montreal, not Toronto.
You're right.
And we have a little discussion about where that disc is going to start, which I believe should be the middle of the end zone.
Yeah, what happened there?
Well, if it was offsides on Toronto, which I think is what it was, and they're having a pretty good laugh about it with Ethan Peck in the middle now while the refs confer. And the refs are conferring.
So if I'm Philadelphia here, I'm taking every chance I have to get a turnover because
So 1:15 they want on the clock?
Because they need to get this turnover really quickly to be able to score twice. Although if 15 minutes go on the clock, that'll do it.
1:15, I think. 0115. There you go. Perfect.
Thank you. All right, now I'm waiting for the stupid arm wind.
Now, no, because you're not in 30, but you're just you're waiting for the arm wind, for the whistle and the arm wind for the clock. The trail ref, the guy out the back of the end zone. There it is. Start it, and you're rolling. Good show. And we have, a double team in the end zone. This is big, big, big for the Phoenix. They could put a scare into them here. They just want to get it back for a second. They have a little bit of a walk after that catch. These 4-step things just to get clear for the throw, I think we got to start calling those. And already they're past midfield at the Phoenix 28. Trey almost got that one. Oh,
it's a big
yes. Meta takes it out of the sky as the disc just lurches up in the air 6 inches.
40.
Trey looking for his swing. He finds Ethan Peck. We only have 30 seconds. Stop the clock now. There's a timeout called on the field. All right. So the 30-second rule goes into effect in 3 more seconds, which means coming out of this timeout, the clock will start when the official winds his arm and blows it in.
Strategically, they might have been able to save more time if they waited 3 seconds and then called the
It's an
timeout.
interesting point. You're right, because if that stall goes, if it's more than 3 seconds before they throw, you're correct.
Yeah.
And that's something that the teams have to start thinking about. But you also can't blame them. They just want to maximize what they have to work with.
It's true.
They need 2 to tie here. So
it's true. So they need to score here very quickly. And then defensively,
do something amazing defensively.
Yeah, but I liked what they were doing. They were double teaming on the sideline. It does leave someone open, but it heightens its risk reward. And right now they need to take every risk because they need to get a turnover.
I would think, if I'm Phoenix and I do score quickly here, I pull it out of bounds so they start on the brick.
Also a good way to save time too.
Right, because the clock won't start till that first throw is released.
Right. And
if you can create a turn on that first throw, you may get 1 shot at the end zone. And from the brick, that's possible.
And going downwind.
They're going downwind, so it would be easy anyway.
Going downwind here also, they have a lot of huck opportunities.
That's true.
So if they need to score quickly, they should be able to do it.
They do. They need a swing, a pop, and a huck. Get it done within 15 seconds so they have a little time on the other end, because all Toronto needs is 2 7-second or 3 7-second stall counts, and no clock. Yes, it starts, and it's going. Scott Jew, that's correct. Yeah, Peck back. He needs to swing to Bryce Dunn here. Scotty Jew is going to rip it. That's a good play. Sean Mott gets it.
Oh, man.
And he's saying a catch right there at the 6. And there is the goal with 11 seconds. That's a very nice play. Sean Mott to Ethan Peck. Now we got some interesting strategic options here.
11 seconds. I think they have to pull it out of bounds. They can't let Toronto pick up the disc without anybody on them.
They absolutely have to. Yeah, you got to do that.
Throw it into the street at this point.
Yeah, just launch it out of bounds and bring it to the brick, and then you're going to put double team on the brick. That's on the handler. That's all you can do. So if you're Toronto, who's going to be picking that disc up? Mark Lloyd?
I think that they would rather have someone like Cam Harris pick up the disc and then have Mark Lloyd. Or Carroll, and have Mark Lloyd. I would have Mark Lloyd and Carroll cutting. Mark Lloyd's huge. He has a lot of space that he can clear. And Carroll's so quick. Just have somebody else pick up the disc and then quickly dish it to one of those 2 guys to reset the stall count.
Yeah. Going to be very interesting just to see if they can.
Yeah.
But, wow, I have to say, terrifically impressed with the Phoenix showing today.
It's like Philadelphia's just going to launch it. They didn't listen to us at all.
Wow. It's in. Clock is running 7. And that's it. He got it with 7 seconds left. Game is over. Yeah, that's something Trey will probably look at, in terms of a strategy going forward, because that you can't do that in the middle of the field.
I mean,
right. That's what we're asking. Yeah, you need to pull that out of bounds. You need to get it on the brick, and then it clock doesn't start until the disc is released. Right. Right. Yeah.
That's a tough break.
Well, no, they'd be going upwind, but they're close enough they could do it. That's the whole point. And, 1918, folks, I mean, that's a terrific, terrific showing for the first time out for this team.
I don't think that could have been expected.
No.
That really
amazed.
It's a very strong showing.
If I'm ownership here, I'm very, very happy with that showing.
Yeah.
And, if I'm Toronto, I'm thinking, geez, these guys are coming, for a team with nobody that we thought was super special, which they may have known some of these guys. I mean, they know some of these guys, obviously. But that's a heck of a showing for the Phoenix.
Yeah, and we got to see some of our returning stars, Mott and Zoo. How many assists did they have between them? It looks like 11 assists between the two of them.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
6 and 5. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, and Esther had a lot of great blocks, too. That's a great point.
And, I mean, Scotty with 7 points, Sean with 8. These guys they're little big men, if you will. They certainly filled those roles today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for sticking with us here through the home opener. A terrific game as it turned out. Again, the Phoenix don't like to lose, but this is not a loss where anyone should be hanging their heads. They got to be real pleased. For the first time with these guys working together against the best team in the East, really a great showing. I'll be looking forward to next week's game. It's our makeup against Montreal for last week's postponement. That'll be a Saturday night game.
That's exciting.
At 6:30, we'll be under the lights and hopefully about 30 degrees warmer.
Oh, nice.
Would be nice.
Another U.S.-Canada matchup, too.
Something, yes, another U.S.-Canada matchup. So, Phoenix fans, thanks again for tuning in. And we will see you next Saturday or a couple days after on our tape delay. Thanks again to all the guys in the booth, Pat Gariantes, Nick Halliday, Leonard Evans, Louis Zatzman for helping us out with all the Toronto stats, for Sachin Raina for coming up here and giving us who was on and off the roster before the coach of Toronto before the game, and all the folks who helped make this possible. We will see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Bailey Saul saying for Alex Schregas, thanks a lot, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.